So moving on. So you've heard me welcome you. In this brief meeting, I'll be providing some important updates. I will be reviewing our master agreement. I will also be talking about next steps that you can take as parents and of course, future communications that I will be sending. And then we will have time for questions and feedback. So the updates, I want to get right to the chase, and this is probably the reason you are all here. You know, things have significantly changed at Crossroads. You know, we last year did some major changes because we wanted to make sure that our families in Newark Unified had an option that was going to provide for the safety of students. And we became a program that was serving multiple grade levels, and we were able to hire wonderful teachers for the various grade levels. And at one point we served up to 161 elementary students, TK through 5. So that is a significant number. And that explains why we had the staffing. So because there has been a big change in our enrollment, instead of 161 students across various grade levels, we now have 28 students across various grade levels. And so because of that, we are staffed for one full-time elementary teacher. So how is this going to impact the schedule? So last year, the schedule was Monday through Friday, 8 to 3 p.m. for the various grades. And you had grade level synchronous instruction. You know, and mixed in there was asynchronous work, there was small group work, there was time for individual consultation and individual support. And that was last year. This year, because we are a much smaller group, this will vary by grade, and our cohorts are to be determined because we have to see if we are going to have any additional students add in the next few weeks and or shift back into in-person. And so our teacher will need to look at which grades can be paired or left kind of as a standalone and try to figure out how he's going to cover all the various subject matter with all the various grades. So one expectation for sure is to expect more asynchronous instruction, meaning it's an independent study program. So your student will be working independently a lot more than they did last year. And then in-person gatherings, while we will continue to be safe and encourage folks to wear masks as they feel comfortable, assemblies, socials, and other things will be permitted, and therefore the teacher may decide to schedule those with parents and or with students. We will continue to benefit from some of the site licenses and online programs because we will still be 100% virtual program. So we will continue to use iReady in English and math. RAS Kids will still be available. Thanks to the hard work of our parent community, we were able to purchase RAS Kids. And so that will still, IXL, and that will still be in place. Our entire district is adopting Savas History as the new social studies provider. And so there is an online component that's available for our elementary students. And of course, district adopted curriculum that the teacher will be using. The teacher will schedule materials pickups, as needed, depending on, the needs of the various grades. And of course, communicating and setting things up in the Google Classroom. So what is the timeline for virtual learning? So August 10th is the first day of school. That is the day that your master agreements are due either via DocuSign or in person. And there will be some kind of meeting with students and parents with the teacher. Again, that is to be determined by the teacher. On August 11th and 12th, there will be some sort of meeting with the teacher and the students. Again, the time and the content of that is to be determined. And then the week of August 15th, instruction will officially begin, and your specific schedule for your student's specific grade will be provided by the teacher. Master agreements. So one change in the law this year is, in the past, the master agreement was something that was expectation to be signed, but you had up to 30 days after you enrolled to get this completed. And we would call sometimes if folks didn't do so, and we would email and call and we would get that accomplished. Now it is being requested that those documents be signed before the students can begin classes. So you may sign this document via DocuSign. We still have that in place. You may also come in person. Another change in the law is that students must also sign. Now, we know that some of your students are quite young and may not have mastered writing a signature, and initials will suffice. So students may come in and do so August 10th through 12th in person in the main office between 8 and 3. And of course, they should still attend their scheduled teacher meetings during those days, because those are going to count for attendance. So if the teacher says there is a meeting from 8 to 10 for students and teachers on the 10th, and you come and get your paperwork signed and you don't go to your meeting, then the teacher may mark your student as not attending. So make sure that your student is in class on those days, or in the meetings, which will count for class during that first short week. This is just a preview of the master agreement. It looks pretty similar to last year's. Most of it is verbatim from last year, but it has been streamlined and updated to reflect what we're offering here in Newark, and it's not as generic as it used to be. We actually have the ed code that is specific to the changes to our program, and it specifies what the program looks like here in Newark. And so this is what's going to be sent either via DocuSign or available for you to sign in our main office before school begins. So what are the next steps? We at Crossroads are going to make sure that we communicate with you about your students' cohort and their corresponding schedules. And of course, as your principal, I plan to continue to communicate with you regularly via email, and of course, during our weekly video announcements. So thanks to everyone that subscribes to those and lets me know. You can always comment, you can always like them, and let me know what is working and not working about those video announcements. But that's where I do the bulk of my communication. And I also started sharing the slides from those announcements. So if you don't have time to watch the video, the slide is shared with you as a PDF via email. So students and families remaining at Crossroads. So after hearing me and after getting your questions answered, if you decide that this is still a good fit, you want to make sure that you sign those master agreements before instruction begins. With your student, of course, signing, and you as a guardian, and then we as the staff will also make sure that we sign it. And then you'll be on the lookout in your email for the communication about your student's cohort and their specific schedule by the end of that first short week. If upon reflection and analysis, you decide that you would prefer an in-person placement, then you are advised to contact Ms. Nicole Lemus in Pupil Services as soon as possible. Her email is the same as it was last year. She continues to be the point person for applying for either Crossroads or an in-person placement at nlemus@newarkunified.org. And that concludes the slides. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, stop recording, and we can